been over a year since the PS5 was released and I did my original review. So today I want to talk about my top 5 recommendations for accessories that everybody should have if you've managed to get hold of a PS5, because they're still rarer than hen's teeth. Welcome back to another episode of STU'S Reviews. The best thing that you could possibly do right now, as soon as you get your PS5, is upgrade the internal M.2 drive. Now, there's one spare inside the PS5 that you can access by opening the top. The drive I've chosen to use is a Sabrent Rocket 4 Plus, and this is a really easy product to use. You simply open up the PS5, unscrew the metal tab, pop your new drive in, pop the heatsink on, which is really important, and I'll get onto that in a moment, and you're good to go. I think it looks great, and it's kind of a shame that you have to put the shell back on because that heatsink is designed really, really well. And this is why I've chosen to go for the Sabrent Rocket 4 Plus, because it has that heatsink in the package that allows for greater performance by keeping the PS5 cooler overall. Now, this costs just £150 for a terabyte, an extra terabyte of hard drive space. That's nearly double the usable space that was on there originally. So if you do have a PS5 and you're looking to play PS5 games, they take up a lot of memory, immediately look to upgrade this. There are smaller drive sizes that are cheaper, so if £150 is way out your budget, there are a few different options available. But while you've got the covers off, the next recommendation I have is replacing this ugly white plastic exterior. This is possibly one of the most divisive things about the PS5. There's loads of people that love this style, and there's loads of us that don't. And this is where the D brand dark plates come in. To swap them out, it's really, really straightforward. If you've already added your own storage, you know how to take the shell off the PS5 by simply pulling up in the corner and sliding down. There's tons of tutorials on this online. And then clipping these on is just as easy. You push in up and clip in back into place exactly as before. And I think that appearance is way better than the massive white monstrosity. But if you do like the style of the PS5 and this hasn't been enough to sway you to changing the shell, the Dark Plates 2.0 do have a few added benefits, such as the cooling element. These have holes on the side now where the fans are, which allows the cool air to be drawn in and hot air to be pushed out much easier than it was when this was shielded off. There's been tons of tests out there that say that having these on the side is a massive added benefit in the overall cooling of the console, so should help performance and should help longevity. So why wouldn't you change it? They do a bunch of different colours as well. This is just the black one. I'm thinking maybe I should have gone grey, so I quite like grey, but this is the black version, and obviously they do a bunch of stickers and skins for the inside section as well. So there's tons of customization that you can do with your console to make it fit in your overall aesthetics. That, let's face it, the massive white ugly thing doesn't fit into nearly anyone's. There might be someone, but the big problem now, however, is that your controller will look nothing like your console, and it will probably be quite jarring. So you might want to customize your controller. Now, this leads me on to my next recommendation for accessories, and that's the company Extreme Rate. And I'm kind of going quite broad here because Extreme Rate do a bunch of different customization options available for your controller. They do shells, buttons, thumbsticks, shoulder pads, touch pads, anything you can think of. You can really change the look of your controller. In fact, I did a little bit of a project around a year ago, and that was trying to change my PS5 controller to see if I could make it fit more my aesthetic, and I did. So it went from this to this. This was the thing that you saw me change the entire look of the controller to, and this kind of fits this much better. This is why I'm thinking maybe I should have gone for grey, because I've kind of got the silvery grey outside. What you didn't see, however, in that episode was the back of this controller. As well as all of the standard shells and buttons, Extreme Rate also do a mod kit that allows you to put paddles on the back of the controller. These paddles are absolutely invaluable for anyone who potentially is a bit more competitive at gaming, and those that might not be, because they allow you to program what those buttons on the bottom do, in the sense of it allows you to program any of the existing buttons to remap to this. Now that means that you can do things like potentially program to jump in Call of Duty or melee in Call of Duty. So without having to take your fingers off the thumbsticks to press one of these buttons, you can press the paddles and you're good to go. You can buy controllers with paddles already built in from places like Scuff or AIM or Battle Beaver. Whereas they might be potentially a little bit more fine-tuned, they're also very, very expensive. But the cost of these paddles, which is called the Rise Remap Kit, is 35 quid. So controller plus the paddles, you're looking about 75 quid, which is less than half the price of one of these professionally made ones from Scuff or AIM. Yes, okay, it's a bit more DIY, but I've had these on now for about a year and I've had no problems whatsoever with these paddles. They are incredible. If anything ever happened, I will be installing another pair immediately, simply based on the fact that they've made my gameplay go from being terrible to just a tiny bit terrible. For those of you that might be a little bit worried about modding your controller, it was really straightforward. I'm not the most technical person when it comes to modding. Even I could follow the instructions. They're really, really laid out quite clearly, simple to follow, it's simple to do. Give it a go. This brings me nicely onto talking about how we charge our PlayStation controllers. Now, I thought Sony might bring in some kind of wireless charging solution for the next-gen PS5 controllers, but they didn't. They didn't do anything like that. There is a solution, and it's by Orsley. This is such an awesome little charging dock because it's got a load of different things that I think will benefit everybody with a PS5. First of all, it comes with 4 of these tiny little adapters that simply plug in the top of your PlayStation controller, and then your controller simply sits in there like that and it will charge. But it also has indicators on the front to show whether or not that controller is charged. There's 2 slots as well. So why are there 4 little dongles? Well, I guess you've got them if you lose them. But the nifty thing here is that it doesn't just support the PS5 as well. It also works with the Switch controller. It works with the Stadia controller. It works with the Elite Xbox controller, Gen 2, I think. So it's a really good multifunctional little piece of kit, and the best thing about it is it's only 15 quid. It's cheap as chips, and you can plug it directly into your PlayStation via the USB-C input at the back, and it can charge controllers like that. And it makes it much easier to simply lift them up and go, pop them in at the end of a gaming session, and it will start charging the controller. I absolutely love it. I think this is an invaluable piece of kit for 15 quid. There are a few criticisms, like it's a bit light, a bit plasticky, it feels a bit cheaply made, but then you're only paying 15 quid for it. For what it is, I actually think it's very good. Bit of Velcro on the bottom, that might work, but this is an invaluable piece of kit. Go and get it. Now there's one more piece of kit that we need to talk about, and that is my last of my top 5 recommendations, and that is the headset. Now, this is an interesting one because headsets and sound preference is very subjective. One person might love a particular sound or hate a particular sound, and also fit and style. One person might love a fit and one person might love a style. But what I can say is a headset that I really don't like, and that is the Pulse 3D headset from Sony. I'm really not a big fan of this. At first, I kind of liked it, sort of like the PS5 design, but we're talking now about the actual overall experience. The sound isn't that bad. It's not the best, but it's not that bad either. But over time, I came to learn just how plasticky this thing feels. The whole build is plastic, it doesn't feel very robust, and also I get quite a bit of fatigue wearing it, because it pushes on the top of my ear and it begins to hurt, maybe after about an hour and a half of use. It really is not the most comfortable option. Not to mention, all of the buttons are so confusing. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buttons on one side 7 buttons on one side. 7 buttons. So if you want to try and mute your party, you're there fumbling around trying to work out which one. What's even worse is maybe you're trying to turn the volume up and you end up turning game chat up instead of volume chat, and it just goes a bit crazy. This, unfortunately, is not the headset for me. And this probably leads me on to talking about what headset I do use, and that is the Razer Kraken headphones. And that's specifically the cat ear versions, simply because I'm the hottest e-girl that you know, and I need some cat ears to go with that whole theme. But I find these extremely comfortable overall. I can wear them for a very long time. They perhaps are a little bit big for me. I don't exactly have a pinhead, so I'm not sure what's going on there, but they're not exactly tight. But that's a good thing, because they sit comfortably on my head for hours upon end, and they light up as well in a multitude of different colours. For those of you that might not want the cat ears, there are non-cat ear versions, and as you can tell, these are the wired version. There are wireless versions as well. I simply used a wired version plugged into the front because I normally sit just... Look at that! Why is it 50% chance you'll get USB wrong? You get it wrong 100% of the time. If I turn it over, no, it won't fit, will it? Oh dear. Anyway, it is wired because I sit pretty much right next to my PS5 on the same desk. So I simply use a wired headset, and it means that I don't have to faff around trying to charge something else. But people will have different recommendations for headsets, and people will have different recommendations for accessories as well. So I want to kind of crowdsource a little bit here, guys. I want to find out what your recommendations are for the best PS5 accessories. What have you come across? What do you use yourself? Is there anything that you absolutely must have? Do let us know in the comments below so we can all have a chinwag about it and talk about what you think is the best possible accessory. Do you agree with me? Do you use any of these? But I guess ultimately, you know, with all of the changes that I've made, it no longer looks like the original PS5. And I like that. I'm happy with that. There is one more thing that I haven't spoken about, which makes number 6 actually on the list of my top 5 accessories. And this doesn't really get the top 5, but it is something that I lured you here with in the thumbnail. And that is this ridiculous monstrosity. I found this online for about £5, but you can plug it in there like this. And it does that. And it reacts to my voice. That is possibly one of the most ridiculous things that I have ever seen in my life, and absolutely does not go on the top 5 accessories for PlayStation 5. But weirdly, I'm sure it probably has its place in some people's setups. And that concludes today's episode, guys. Thank you very much for joining. Like I said, let me know in the comments below what your recommendation is for the best PS5 accessory, or even what headset you use. Is there a particular recommendation for headset? But other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and notification bell, and I'll see you back for another episode of STU'S Reviews soon. How preposterous is that thing? Look at it. It's ridiculous.